Do you feel like you're drowning in so much responsibility that you do not have time to get into the gym and train towards the body that you want? If so, welcome to the club. I have just become a new dad about 4 months ago. It's fantastic. However, there are so many new responsibilities and so many new restrictions on my time that I have struggled mightily to consistently make it into the gym. And it is my job to be in the gym. So I can only imagine if you are dealing with becoming a new dad, starting a new job, going to college, anything that is going to shift and change your time that you have to get in the gym, to work out, to get the body that you want. I know how stressful it can be, but today we're going to talk through some ways that I think you can change your mental that will allow you to still get good training in and not beat yourself up about it, so that when your time frees up, hopefully in the future, you can jump right back in, train to the best of your ability, and achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. First up, what I want you to do is understand that this is not a time to be setting all-time PRs. You most likely do not have the time to dedicate to the training required to absolutely smash personal bests. And that is okay. What happens with a lot of my clients, what has happened with myself in the past, is when we have time restrictions, we start to lose motivation to even train at all. But I want you to start to think that maintenance is the reason that you're in the gym. And I know that that's super boring. Trust me, I struggle with that myself. I have a hard time deloading. I have a hard time doing lighter sessions because I want to be pushing the boundaries. If you are a powerlifter or a bodybuilder, most likely you got into the sport to push your physical boundaries. And when time does not allow us to do that, the temptation sets in to say, well, I'm just not going to go to the gym at all. But that would be a terrible mistake, because if you can hold on to a baseline of fitness, your journey back up the mountain will be a ton easier than if you just completely gave up, stopped going to the gym for 2, 3, 4+ months, and then decided to get back into it. It's going to feel more like you're starting from scratch. The mountain analogy is a great one. Let's say you run into an issue as you're climbing Mount Everest and you have to stop. Would it make sense to reset all the way back down to the bottom of the mountain? Absolutely not. So then why do we think about it when we are going to the gym? It's a flawed way of thinking. And I think if you adjust your mindset around this point and understand that maintenance is actually setting a PR, you will find it easier to build consistency with the short amount of time in your day and in your week that you actually have to get into the gym. So I would encourage you to try and shift your mindset and think that maintenance is actually setting a PB. Easier said than done, but start to build those systems into your training and into the way that you mentally approach training, so that when time is given back to you, hopefully sooner rather than later, you will be able to push again and not have as far to go to set those PBs. Another thing we have to do when time is not on our side is to stop being so precious with our training. Now, what do I mean by that? I am someone who loves to mark out every single exercise, my reps, my sets. I'm a powerlifting coach. I love the numbers. I love the minutia. I love the 67% this week, and then we're going to build on that. We're going to get to 72%, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to use these accessories because they help with this. We do not have the luxury of time, unfortunately. If you're a new dad, if you're a new mom, if you're a new parent, if you are starting a new job, these things are going to require your time. And unfortunately, they're going to require your time more than the gym. That's just the way of the world. We need to put our priorities in order. So when we do that, we cannot be as precious as we would like to be with our training. That doesn't mean that we go in willy-nilly and don't have a plan, but it does mean that we have to be able to, move on the fly. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. A couple of times I go into the gym. Okay, great. I've carved out an hour. My wife's taking care of our baby. Totally fine. And then I get a text 30 minutes in. Hey, I'm really struggling, or I need to get on a work call, or anything, and everything could happen and I got to leave. I have to be able to mix and match and finish a session later or switch out exercises. Just recently, I had to do an SBD day because I wasn't going to get my 4th training day in. So rather than say, okay, I'm just not going to do it, I adjusted my numbers. I was able to push everything together. You cannot be precious with your training when you don't have the luxury of time, and that's okay. Continuing to educate yourself on how to adjust your training is going to be key when you need to be able to adjust on the fly. So, not to toot my own horn, but there are a ton of videos on this channel that are going to teach you exercise swaps, how to get supersets in, all the stuff that you need to be not precious, if that sentence even makes sense in English, all the stuff that you need to be able to make adjustments on the fly. Continue to educate yourself. If you have questions, please comment them below. I would love to help troubleshoot your program with you so that you can still stay in the gym when you don't have a ton of time. Not only do we have to be precious with the actual sessions we are in the gym, but we have to be discerning with the programs that we are choosing. If you know that you have a time restraint, it might be that 70s Powerlifter, for an example, a program that I've run that is very heavy on the volume, that is going to take you a longer time in the gym, might need to go on the back burner. And you say, I don't have time for that volume right now, but I can still go to the gym and still train. I want to encourage you. There have been numerous studies done, especially when it comes to strength, that have indicated that a heavy top set, 85% plus of your 1 rep max, and one set of back off work between 70 and 85% is enough to either hold on to strength if you are more of the advanced level, or to continue to build strength if you're in the beginner and intermediate category. So even though it feels like you may not be doing enough, the scientific literature, that is not the be all end all, but it is what we have right now, is continuing to show us that you can still make progress on lower volume and higher intensity when it comes to strength. If we're talking about bodybuilding, we have to get a little bit more in the weeds about our volume and how much work we need to be doing. But again, if you are pushing yourself to failure or close to failure, look at Mike Mentzer. Look at the cult of one set to failure, right? Dorian Yates. There are examples of bodybuilders who have had success with lower volume, lighter programs that are just higher in intensity. So understanding these variables will help you get in, get out, and still make progress. One last thing I want to leave you with is that you should be seeking support in this time. Now, I don't want to turn this into a therapy session, but it is so important to not find yourself mired in solitude, especially if the gym is something core to your identity or to your enjoyment of life. I had a really hard time when I needed to be a father, when I needed to be super present. Obviously, I'm going to need to be super present throughout my entire child's life, but the newborn phase specifically challenged me because I needed to be around and available, not just for my child, but also for my wife. I found myself moving inwards instead of asking for some time to go to the gym. I shouldered those burdens on my own instead of building a plan with my wife or talking to some of my coaching friends who would have helped me kind of manipulate my time that I did have, because it wasn't like I was 100% always on dad duty. I did have time, but I couldn't see the forest for the trees because I was so inwardly focused. So I want to encourage you to try and find community in this time and see if someone else has some ideas about how you could fit in some training sessions. Hopefully you are training at a gym that has some very intelligent people, hopefully some coaches that will help manipulate your schedule so that you can get in the gym as much as possible. But if you're looking for a group of people to bounce ideas off of, I cannot recommend our Discord enough. I know it's my Discord, but the people in there are incredibly intelligent. They're super nice. They're going to be empathetic to your struggle at the current moment, and they're going to try and help you, manipulate your schedule enough so that you can get in the gym and still continue to work, because I know how important it is. It can feel like you're kind of drowning. If the gym has been something that you lean on for not just physical health, but mental health, if you feel like that gets taken away, it can be a really big problem. And then that can spiral and you can start to lose out on some of the responsibilities that you're supposed to be doing. Again, a personal story. It was very difficult for me to be at my best, to be the best dad that I wanted to be, when I was missing the gym time that I needed to continue to function not just physically, but mentally. So it was very important that we fit some time into my schedule. And I know that if you're watching this channel, most likely you fall into that same category. So I want you to be encouraged by my story. I'm back in the gym. I'm prepping for a powerlifting meet. Things are different than when I didn't have a kid, but things are different than when I was 18. Life changes, but we can adapt to those changes. It's not easy, but it is simple. And I think if you have support, you will be able to make those changes quicker and you'll be back to close to peak performance sooner if you have support. I know I'm not the only one who trains under time restrictions, so if you have any tips that you'd like to leave me or other viewers of the video, please leave them in the comments. We'd love to see them. Continuing to help people get stronger is the mission of this channel, and you can be a part of that by commenting down below. I encourage you to do so. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot that you're hanging out with me, you're trying to get stronger, that you are subscribing to the channel if it's something that you would like to do. It really does mean a lot. If you want to learn more about frequency of lifting, you can click on this video right here to start to build your knowledge about how to change things on the fly. Thank you for watching. Get strong and stay strong.